All right, guys, it's winter time here in the Ozarks. You can see we've got us a fog delay today. We're gonna take a little bit of time and talk to you about the Garmins and where you can find bass in the winter time. You know, the winter time can be a little bit tricky as it starts in. Now, late winter into spring, it's a little easier because they've been there for a while. But when you take a lake like this right here at Table Rock, you know, that's a lot of different areas to start breaking down where a bass is gonna be and catch him. So I like to think about it like here, let's take these 2 or 3 big creek arms here. Most of these creeks are gonna definitely have fish. So we're gonna break down this creek right here just a little bit more. It's late enough in the year, we don't feel like they're as far back. The fall transition is over. They're at least to right here at this, where these 2 creeks come together and make this set of guts, you know, like just a path for them to swim, 2 creeks come together. I'm just gonna run all the way back in there, spin around, and start idling out using my Garmin electronics looking for bait. Bait's gonna be the whole key. You can have trees, you can have open water, but if you don't have the bait, it's not gonna matter. So when we come out of here, sometimes there'll be busted up groups later in the year, and you start looking for little specific places these fish get. You can see right here, there's definitely, inside this creek, there's definitely a little channel swing right there. That little channel swing right there might house a lot of fish. You know, it's definitely gonna be a place that they're gonna be able to pull up and feed. Say you get a nice sunny day. You can see here, Garmin's made it easy for you. You got a lot of brush piles right there on the inside of that channel swing. But you can see it right here as well. A lot of times these fish will sit out here in this gut. Sometimes they'll pull up here and feed, but it gives the shad and the bait a lot of opportunity to stay put. Wind directions are protected a little bit more. It seems like they just really go with the temperature, the sun, and the wind. If the wind blows again, they're probably gonna migrate back in there, maybe even a half a mile in just a couple of days. And then as the wind blows out of the north, it's gonna shift them back out. But that's how you're gonna be able to break it down really simple. When you get on out here, you can see one that, maybe they're not quite that shallow, it's a little bit deeper. You can see here this little old knoll come out here and kicks out. A lot of times current, either from the wind or them generating water in the wintertime, will put bait in these little corners, just like this corner right here, and it'll kind of trap them, and those fish know that, and they'll get up there kind of like a pack of wolves, and they'll hem them up in there even more. And so some of these little bitty places are really key areas to find where them shad are gonna set day in and day out. You know, there's gonna be 2 groups of fish here. A lot of times back in these creek arms, you're gonna get into several spotted bass, a lot of largemouth. Main lake fish, like out here on these contours, are gonna stay there all winter. They're not gonna swim into these creeks. A lot of them will be smallmouth, a lot of them be spots, and there'll be some largemouth. Smallmouth are really, really good about just staying in the main lake, get on these contours out here, never go in a creek. And you know, a fish that's out here on some of this stuff, he's not gonna swim several miles in there. As long as he's got plenty of bait out here in something like this that's got a lot of contours, you're gonna be able to capitalize on main lake fish that never go to the bank. You know, a fish, that's a couple of mile circle there. You know, there's a good chance that that fish is gonna live a lot of his life in that same circle right there. Now, one thing you've got out here too, these fish are a little bit current related as well. You can see here, the dam's over here, they're gonna pull current around this way. It's gonna pull on the inside of all these points as that current goes around. Now, I know the channel swings over here and you can see it on your mapping, but the current from the lake's not gonna swing over that far. It's gonna come right over through here. Any of these places that stick out like that on your contours or your mapping are gonna be places where current's coming through. They're gonna set up in these little saddles there between those places, front sides, back sides. That's just a really good place to keep in mind on the main lake. Once I do find these shad, you know, I'm gonna have 3 or 4 baits. You know, I'm gonna have an old school spoon. You know, you've gotta have a spoon. Seems like that vertical jigging is just something that triggers a lot of bite. I'm gonna have an ice jig style bait. And both those baits get down deep really quick, you know, because you're probably looking at somewhere between 40 and 80 feet of water as far as where the fish are sitting, not the depth of the water. The depth might be 150 foot or 100 foot, but you gotta get your bait down there quick. I'm gonna have some sort of Demiki head, you know, something like a Zoom Fluke Junior, you know, on a standard Demiki style head, maybe starting out around that quarter, going to a 3/8, going to a 5/8, you know, depending on how deep they are and how fast I wanna get down there. And then finally, I'm gonna probably have just some sort of a swim bait, you know. There's not a lot of times where they want a lot of movement in the wintertime, but some days on a heavy head, just a small swim bait with a little boot tail is definitely gonna get you some bites, especially if pressure gets to them and you start seeing a lot of different guys throwing the standard Demiki. A lot of times they're just gonna be right underneath the blanket of shad, you know, just just a few feet under. And then if you can get a school going and keep them going, you know, that's just a really great way to catch a lot of numbers in a hurry. Whether or not you want to fish creek fish in the winter or main lake fish in the winter.